All right, welcome back to Indian Trace. I'm going to do a little prelude as I try to organize a video to open the year 2025. I know I'm late. There's been a lot going on. But no better way than seeing this. I was blown away yesterday and talking to a friend about pottery and the feminine expression of the North American Indian through late archaic, strong woodland, probably right through Mississippian period, which I don't know if this is. I know it's strong woodland, but just blows my mind to see their finger work on these, even which I suspect is fingernails, and on with some really great detail. So I'm going to look at this bowl of souls in a second, and the reason it's a prelude is because of this video. This stuff is found this way, and I'm working on splicing things in, so check this out. I've begun to figure out how to tie some videos together, so this will be a test and a prelude here at Site 4, or the clay pot. Now, we've had a frog washer. I just picked these pieces of pottery up, and I decided I would at least include the quarters and the dimes sizes and pick them up, brush them off, study them off, and I came across this artifact. And I've only been through two runs, and then there was this. And this is, if I can show you, well, you can't even see it barely. Huge combine. These are this rubber tracks here. And then there's this and see, that's much bigger piece of pottery than I should say is normal. The clay pot is a lot different. I'll get this cleaned off, but around here, that's a big piece of pottery. But I guess you might as well just start off with something that's which you often hear me say, the feminine product of the North American Indian. Let's move on. Okay. So although that's really important, and that's the exact way you find this stuff, there are certain pieces that you fall in love with. And we're going to look at these. That's what this bowl of souls is. Now, I found lots of pottery. The particular site where 50% of this comes from, I probably found 1,400 pieces of pottery. And I guarantee it stretches minimum over a lifespan of 1,000 years occupation. That's a minimum, because it pulls from late archaic, and I guarantee it pushes right straight through woodland. And the pottery would tell you that story. Some of the people who really have been able to highlight pottery the best on YouTube, go back in time and check it out. I'll give you one. Dirty Water Jones. Unbelievable finds. Now, I don't find as big a pieces as he does. And now under here, there's much bigger pieces, and I don't have to be, I mean, this is a very big piece for around here. But the details on pieces like this. Now, let me take a break and just get distracted for a second. I have to figure out, maybe with this whole lullaby of a video for 2025, this is probably 7 months of, I would say, which I'm going to figure out a way to highlight before I move it into a higher display situation. Keep it in a better display. I have been setting it aside for 6, 7 months, sifting through things, and I add a piece here or a piece there when I, for whatever reason, particularly love the piece, which isn't to say that they're all going to stay. A few of these, they might move forward, pay them forward. Oh, it's so important to pay it forward, right? That piece is not coming in. Focus, that's a really great piece right there. But we're going to highlight some of these. It's sort of a smoky quartz piece. I can't even believe it doesn't want to keep its focus here. So, before I get into those, which will distract most every person, I want to talk a little bit about this, and then we'll cut through some things or try to splice those in. I don't know how I'll do it, but it's the pottery that begins the new year best, because if you're going to have a new year, if you're going to have a birthday, or anything such a thing, you can't have it without a woman. And most anthropologists and sociologists are pretty convicted about the fact that this pottery from here to California to Arizona is produced and made by the women in the tribe or the pod or the clan. And you can see the details. And it's not just the details that make it. There were gender roles which are common throughout the North American Indian and needed. They're needed in our own lives. As the man and the woman have strengths. Look at these. Look at the detail on some of this. And weaknesses. And God knew that. So we each play a huge and vital part, playing towards our strengths. Having long suffering on our shortcomings. Look at that. Could be a stick, it could be fingernails, just like that. It's craziness. To me, it's staggering. Number one, of course, because I'm a man, but to think about the woman who took her time to put a couple extra details on the inside of the rim of the pottery. This stuff, Mike, is completely different. Of course, as you can see immediately from this stuff that you're pulling out, or we're pulling out of the swamps, right? But you can only pick up and find what's where you are, right? The holes to probably help carry the pottery, and look at the rims. Staggering stuff. So I put the piece of pottery that are totally worth museum and study. And reading more about pottery, I know that it tells a timeline way better than this stuff. Now, this stuff does tell a timeline for sure. And we were enamored with the arrowheads and points. Still am. I am. A lot of these points came from Site 4 as well, where this came off of. I might have, out of dozens and dozens of sites, 2 or 3 that really produce pottery. I mean, this is across the whole county to another site you've heard me mention, Hidden Hill, which is a very unique pattern of pottery. And I don't know how much. Most people don't post pottery or the displays or what, how they have it. I don't know necessarily how to set it up. I don't want to set it up in a stagnant frame, because if somebody comes, I want them to be able to pick it up and say, man, I like that piece for some reason. I mean, look at this drilled hole. We know how their drills were. So the conical holes those drills always made. Unbelievable. The utility and what I believe is the expression of their humanity, the expression of their femininity. Look at this. These are pinch marks from her thumb and forefinger. With a little bit of decoration around the edge. Some straight lines down the pottery. Now tell me something. Wouldn't you have loved to see, just be able to watch and observe, maybe not intrude, don't intrude at all, but just to watch that woman make this pot, or how they actually used it in every day. It's probably so basic for them. They could make another, and when it broke, indeed we know they discarded them, but look at this. On a rim. It's not half as loud as it sounds, trust me. Look at the ones underneath it, those are big pieces. So some of you might not know, but this fabric and this is all because they're pressing it into a grass basket before they fire it. Now, I don't know how they continue. Maybe they half fire it, I don't know, and then they use a hollow reed to make these circles, but this is not pressed. This pot's not pressed. This one's pressed. Unbelievable stuff. And then this one, which is actual, you don't find these that much. This is the very bottom of a big conical pot. Super durable, super heavy. That was found at W Properties. This is not common, okay? And I can say that just a little bit because I'm out there. And so I have a grasp of what's common and what's not. And look at these rims. That's pressed into probably a basket. They don't just stripe that, it's pressed in. So if you can grasp the spirit of what you're seeing here in this pottery, then it takes you above and deeper than many writings and many of the books that focus on the North American Indian, which are mostly the historic period Indian, but they're focusing on the masculine aspects. It's tough. You got to do a lot of research to find books that focus on what the feminine life and the feminine aspect and the woman's life was all about. Now, I don't know any man that wouldn't want to know about the women. That is for sure, right? So cheers as we open the year 2025 for the pottery. And we'll go on to what I've got to move on and leave behind from 2024.